One of the coolest things by far about the crowdfunding is that it really gave us the opportunity to launch something that we wouldn't have had before. Traditionally, I go to this business guy and be like, hey, business guy, you like our ideas? We're gonna take off our clothes and run around and act crazy. And we have this magical thing that stretches and fits every bottle in the world. Do you want to give us some money for this thing? And they'd be like, no, you guys are crazy. You get to throw it out there, and if you get accepted, then it's like, oh, we got a company. Oh, okay, what are we gonna do now?
I don't think I'd be as passionate about if the community wasn't as involved as they were. Freaker is a community-based company. I mean, we started with the community. Our community is very vocal, and we listen, because you have to, and like everyone is capable of a good idea. So why not listen to them? We go out and we get feedback from them, and we've run contests where people could design their own Freaker. So we did something with Threadless, this community-based initiative to source the best design. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure. Screaming Witch, maybe. Mr. Payne is the name. Mr. Payne. Pretty incredible to see that many people submitting their designs and their ideas. It's always cool to see the feedback you get. Freaker was kind of my opportunity or chance to do it for me. Do what I wanted, not have to fight, not have to compromise with clients. And that's what Freaker is, it's an uncompromised vision. It's kind of like my thesis that no one trusted me in letting me do it until we did it for ourselves.
Crowdfunding's pretty basic and straightforward, I think. I mean, you essentially say, this is the project I want to get funded, and that can be anything from a movie to a watch. I mean, it can literally be anything. It's very simple. You say, this is the idea, this is why it's important, and this is why you should fund it.
In exchange for the financial contributions, people get stuff or experiences, things that they want, things that are at different price points. Maybe there's a $20 reward, maybe there's a $50 reward, there's $100. People can pick. They have these different points of participation.
What seems to be most successful is when you have a goal that if you don't reach that goal, like on Kickstarter, where if you set a goal of 100,000 and you don't reach that goal, then no one's credit cards get charged. You don't get the funding. All the money goes back to the individuals, and the project has to be funded a different way or it dies. And something about that goal just psychologically kicks in. I can see that this project I really want to get funded is $15,000 away from their goal and they've only got 24 hours to go. I'm going to send them out a tweet, I'm going to put it on Facebook, and something about that deadline and that goal and the chance that it might all disappear and go away is what drives the entire process.
People are more connected now than they've ever been in human history. And that hyperconnectivity is really the foundational support layer on which crowdfunding is built on top of.
Right now, everyone has to be on Facebook and they have to be on Twitter or Instagram or all these different things. Those will always change. The important part is that social media is allowing that dialogue between the artist and their fans. And they need to take advantage of those and think of creative ways to do it to stand out from the crowd.
You think about when you're growing up, like what do you want to be when you grow up? And then when you get older, as you get closer to college, you're like, oh, I have to be a businessman or a lawyer, or a doctor, or whatever. Well, everybody tells you, it's like, you can't make a living being an artist. You can't do this, you can't do that. But anytime that I would try something else, I would always find myself just getting extremely bored and I knew that I wasn't doing the right thing. And I always found myself coming back to art and to drawing in some form or fashion. It's taking me this long to be able to get where I'm at, but I think that I wouldn't have done it any other way. When I hit go on the project, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll find a few people that will be interested in my project, and maybe I could just kind of squeak by and get the minimum goal, that I could pay for the minimum order that the United States Playing Card Company requires when they're printing decks. And what I was thinking might be like a few people finding my project and supporting it has turned into like several hundred. And that living thing that's growing in front of me, that's something that I've never had before. But at the same time, like when I get away from the computer, then the reality sets in for me. Like I think about I'm okay with the $7,000. I did my math for that. But now in 3 days, there's more money, than I make in like a couple of months. If this is day 3, what is it gonna look like on day 30 or day 40? It could be, it could be awesome, but at the same time, I have this fear like I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot and not know what to do.
If there's only a rare number of people who are interested in a particular thing, in the old days, if you're around your neighborhood, you'd had it. You couldn't find a crowd. But nowadays, the world is your crowd, and you can post it to everybody.
Before we needed companies. We needed a large amount of assets to start up something with a lot of people. Now you can do it yourself.
We're already seeing an evolution of crowdfunding to more and more support going to people that already are successful as cultural producers in the world. So people who successfully have produced films with studio backing, musicians that have access to record labels. And so rather than using those mechanisms, they're turning to crowdfunding.
We created a game, and it was called Wasteland. And we released it in late 88, early 89, I believe. And it went on to big critical success, got a big cult following. Clearly, we knew we had scratched the surface of something very interesting. I immediately wanted to do a sequel to Wasteland. I went to the publishers, and I remember I'd go in with the pitch. I'd say, okay, it doesn't get better than this. I travel around the world. Everywhere I go, every press tour, I don't care whether I'm in China, Singapore, France, Germany, they're always asking about a Wasteland. That would be my pitch going in. I never even got to the point where they'd say how much. I got no traction for another decade, which blew my mind. There was fans that wanted it. There was guys like me that wanted to make it, but there was people in between. There were retailers and there were gatekeepers that wouldn't allow that transaction to happen. Lo and behold, here comes crowdfunding. We were asking for more money than just about anybody had asked for before. But I had no choice because I couldn't make a game for less money and meet what they wanted. I just couldn't do it. I was nervous as hell. And I had a guy call me. He was a major fan. He says, hey, if you come up short, I'll fund you the rest of the money. And that was a moment, because I thought, we're gonna make it.
My whole concept, I think, was growing up in a small town, never really had to introduce myself to anyone or have a first conversation because I knew everyone from the beginning, and it was just like, these are my friends because I've known them since kindergarten. So my whole thought was like, go out into the world and just see what it throws at me. I looked at the map and I was like, North Carolina. I saw Wilmington and I was like, Wilmington, that sounds familiar. Maybe someone said it before. I was like, it's near the beach. I was like, that sounds awesome. So with my 50 bucks, drove down to Wilmington, go into a coffee shop, and Lauren, who now works with me, was the first person that I met in Wilmington. So I opened the door and this little cute barista girl's just like, hey, and just like yells out from behind the counter. I'm like, oh, this is a cool start to a town. And ended out becoming my roommate. And at the same time, Justin had just shot a video for Alicia, who's our office mom now, where she was doing this crowdfunding thing. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Crowdfunding thing. And she like showed me it, and I was like, what? What do you mean? You just do this thing, you have an idea, you put it out there, and then if people like it, they give you money. And she's like, yeah. I was like, that is awesome. So us four, we were like, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna bring it all together? It was this concept of, we have this manufactured thing that we know how to do, but we don't have the money for the yarns. We don't have the money to do the first run of production. We really want everyone to have one of these things. We think it's really awesome. And now it was like, let's make this thing and see if they think it's awesome.
Well, we're gonna freak the world, starting with America, by launching a line of 30 freaker designs. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna blow your mind.
Art is the work of a human being doing something probably for the first time, something that might not work, something generous, something that touches some people but not other people. And when we go down that list of what art is, it turns out that's what we're paying for. That's what we care about. That if all we're buying is a Walmart quality commodity, just give me the cheap one, the close one. Bottled water, cheap and close. I want bottled water to be the same every time, but I will not pay extra for it. If I'm gonna pay extra for something, if I'm gonna spread the word, if I'm gonna talk about it, it better be real and it better be personal.
There's so much stuff that I try to put in these things that I think that a lot of people will miss. But that's okay. That's the way it goes. Especially with like this Joker has Benjamin Franklin flying a kite with the key on it. And that was kind of when he was trying to figure out how electricity worked. These numbers here, this is a plate ID and a serial number. And these numbers were used on real money for the government to kind of keep track of where the bill was printed or what number the bill was. But I came up with an idea to help my backers be more of kind of like have a tangible part of the cards themselves. And what I did was I created this pledge tier where you could pledge for this reward and you could customize these numbers, the plate ID and the serial number. I didn't know how it would go over very well in the beginning, but when it clicked with people and people figured out what they were, some people started getting these plate IDs and like, hey, I want to represent my birthday. I want to represent the day that I met my wife. And these numbers are going to be on every card that I print.
People send in stuff and they're like, make this, make this, make this. And we take the ideas and mesh it all up. We have little sheets. We get people requesting all the time of different designs, so we'll send them this sheet and they can kind of draw it out. It's tiny squares. I go in, I fill them in. There's not much detail, but once it's knit, it's a lot tighter and it looks a lot cleaner, where now you can kind of see the edges and stuff of it. This one is this upside down heart, which turns into a butt, and then it's pooping out little tiny hearts, which I thought was really funny, and we're gonna call this one Love Stinks. So that's how it works. They're here during the day working, and the only time that I can just, be trying out things in different colors and not getting in the way of everybody is in the middle of the night.
We're basically what you call a hosiery mill. Manufacture socks, athletic socks, dress socks, men's, women's, children's socks, knit and sew, and that's really it. Just make socks, the whole company.
Normally here we do any kind of socks, and now we're doing freaker. Zach is basically doing the samples, doing matching colors, I would say. He'll come up with his own designs. All kinds of designs, really. Just, for example, this and all kinds of things.
It's cool. It's a neat looking place. It's beautiful. It kind of makes this weird hum sound when you're here, and it's really dry because all the cotton, and my pee always smells funny the next day, no matter what. Just one of the perks of being in here for 24 hours straight, so. You don't think you'd miss that, but you do somehow. But it's a lovely place.
Basically, as looking at it with Zach telling me that he wants to raise money online, in a sense, that tells me that he don't have the money to get this product off the ground to even get it started. It made me a little bit skeptical. Do I want to do business with this guy who obviously doesn't have money to pay for a product or to get a product started? I just thought it was a bad idea. I didn't think it'd work. I was really surprised. I was watching it on the internet where he stood with how much money, his target, where it was going, and every day we'd look at it and be like, he's not gonna make it, he's not gonna make it. And then all of a sudden it just boom, 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 and he had what he needed and he was ready to start his product. But I was pretty relieved that my customer would have a little bit of money to pay for a product, I guess. So I would have never thought that he would have been able to accumulate funds like that to get a product off the ground. But when you see somebody's passion in a product and they got their heart in it to do something, that gives you a little bit more support that I think this guy's gonna make it. But financially, I don't know if he would have made it without them for sure. So, we have gone from running one machine for him once in a while to 4 machines running for him 5 days a week. So his volume has really grown to our surprise. When we first did the program with him, I thought if we can keep 2 machines busy running this thing, it'll be a decent product. And he's exceeded that now, so very surprising. He's just a great guy. Not many people out there like that anymore.
I've been waiting 20 years for this moment, and finally, I'm here. Now I'm in production. We'll need to double up the staff of this company within the next 12 months to be able to make a game of this size. Everything in the past has been sort of we'd hold ourselves up and then at the end we'd pop a finished product out the door and hope everybody loved it. This is much different. We'll end up showing people things every step of the way to vet our ideas and get as much input that we can before we ship the product. Because of the very public nature of this process, I think that a failure of this product would mean that people would not want to hear from me again on my next project. If I screw up delivering this game and it isn't good, it's probably the last thing I'll get to work on. I don't think crowdfunding gives you a second shot. It's a bit of an all or nothing for me, and if I don't deliver what I said, it's probably pretty much it for me.
When I look at like projects that I have backed, it's like looking through a gallery of hopes and dreams. Like some of them have finished and some of them haven't, and some of them are old and dusty, but they're still like coming soon, but they're not really coming soon, and you know it and they know it and they just fall off the earth. It's interesting to go through your back or your history and just kind of look at those projects that didn't go anywhere. They just disappeared.
On Kickstarter, a lot of times you see these people, they ask for all this money to do something and then like they never send you your reward. Those people are screwing themselves. Those people are kicking their fans in the fucking teeth.
The average project that fails probably falls into a couple categories. One was that there was making a thing that they thought would be super easy. We'll just go to China and we'll just make this thing. Then there's projects that maybe the person gets a day job and they just can't pursue anymore. You know, it takes up a little more time than they thought, and you can burn through money faster than you think. And then oftentimes there's the projects that a lot of people wanted to do it, and then all of a sudden it kind of crumbled and there was one guy who couldn't do everything.
The guys that I work with at my office, and also my friends, they look at my project and they're like, oh, you've raised $100,000. Well, you're rich now. What are you gonna do? Buy a car, you know, and all this kind of stuff? What are you gonna do with all that cash? And I'm like, I'm gonna have to spend all that cash to pay for all this stuff. In the beginning, I may have only been asking for like $7,000, and I was thinking on like the small scale. But as it grew and the momentum built, you know, $7,000 became $50,000, and then $50,000 became $100,000. It only means that there's more and more people, that there's a chance of me letting down and not delivering the quality of stuff that I promised in the very beginning, and that I think that everybody got attached with and got behind. I've even seen other projects that are like, you know, we need this much money to do this. And then they get that, and then they get even more, and then even more. And then when it's over, something happens or something is out of their control, and then they're like, well, we're out of money.
I guess we basically put ourselves out there with the crowdfunding thing. You know, I guess we launched a new product that hasn't been out there before and already getting some pretty big publicity from it. And with that, ended up attracting a bigger company that just posted something of a new product that they have that looks strangely like ours. For us, this just comes far too early in the game for a big company to be knocking us off. It's like with the patent on the freaker that we have, it's just their attorneys are gonna know that we don't have the money to actually do anything. So there's obviously like a million things that we would need to spend money on before something like this. So we're basically just in a position of just unknowing and confusion right now.
There's a lot of times where I feel like there's nothing that I can do. There's always gonna people be upset or not get what they want, and they're gonna be mad, and they're gonna call you a jerk and a thief, and that you're trying to steal money from them, or you're trying to charge them way too much for something. But in the end, like, if you don't like my project, you don't have to back it.
People complain at the drop of a hat. People generally are nice, but a lot of them suck. You're supposed to trust a crowdfunded project. You're supposed to trust a dude with your money. And the people who suck are going to immediately jump on that guy and accuse him of scamming, accuse him of faking some stuff. And that's going to happen over and over again. It's something that a lot of these guys have to deal with.
One of the great things about crowdfunding is you don't need everyone to support you. If 50% of people love you and 50% of people hate you, that's fine. You know, it's, as far as the revenue stream is concerned, being hated is exactly the same as just being ignored. It doesn't make things worse. So having a bad reputation online is not dispositive. It doesn't mean that you will fail, just so long as the flip side of that is that you have some people who think you're great.
It's like this weird push and pull of I'm driving away from work, I'm driving back to work when I should be working back at home. In a few days, the project is gonna be over, and people are already asking me, what's next? What cards are you gonna design next? I don't know how long they're gonna keep asking. They're asking now. I mean, in 6 months, are they gonna keep asking me? Because they'll probably forget about me. Now is the time. Now is the time for me to seize that opportunity.
We're all talking about the company that was copying us and knocking off a freaker, and we didn't know what to do about it. So Lauren posted it, and we're like, all right, let's go get some lunch and get out of here. Just got back from that, and Lauren goes upstairs and she gets on her computer and she's like, whoa, guys, like, you gotta check this out. So there was hundreds of posts on their Facebook and Twitter of just support for us, and going to them being like, why are you doing this? What's wrong with you? There was this one guy that posted a picture of our American flag freaker on his arm, and he had his middle finger up, and it was pretty cute. It's gone on 4 hours of just them going nuts on it. People were writing us being like, they won't let me post anything more on their Facebook, you know, they've kicked me off of their Twitter or whatever, and we're just like, wow, like, that's crazy. And it's so fresh that this is happening, so like, we're not used to having such a large group supporting us. I mean, months ago, we didn't have anybody with us, it was just us, and now the feeling of having this group behind us that wants to support us that much, and it means that much to them what we're doing, that they would do that. It was a feeling that, I don't know, I've never had before, and yeah.
About a week ago, I kind of tried to think about, oh, it's going to be so awesome, it's going to be so great. when the project's over and it's successful, and I'd be able to look back and see what I had accomplished. And I should be celebrating, I should be happy, right? But I'm not. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to sit there and watch it because I don't want it to be over. And you know, I think about is that little 15 minutes of fame. I don't want that to be it. It's gonna go beyond me just working for my boss and creating a picture for him. You know, as an artist, I've always tried to find like what my art is, what kind of style is mine, what am I gonna contribute, you know, to this world as an artist. And I've found that art, I've found that style, I've found that one thing, I've found what I was supposed to create. It's the first time in my entire life that I feel that my art is actually going to mean something, and I don't want that meaning in my life to be over just because the clock has ticked to 0 on the project. Now that this project is over, I think about, am I going to be able to repeat this phenomenon that happened in my life? This may be my only one chance.
We certainly have no lack of pressure. We've been in this constant communication with the fans, what they want and what they want to see, and so we finally just put the first video out of actual gameplay. I'm not used to showing something this early on, and so it's always kind of scary because you don't want people to interpret that as the final. So on one hand, you're excited that they like it, on the other hand, it's not done, and there's a million loose ends between now and the end. It used to be that you'd get it to 100% or 95, and then you'd show it, because that means you're kind of getting close. Now we get it to 80%, 70%, and we solicit that feedback, and that's been a big educational process for us. And so we've been going back and forth in this sort of dance with the public. I always say you can never compete with the crowd. Like, no matter how smart my 10 or 20 guys are, we're not as smart as 10,000 as they're looking at stuff. It's a completely kind of different paradigm for making games.
There's a paradigm shift going on in innovation. It's the largest paradigm shift since the Industrial Revolution. And what the paradigm shift is that innovation is increasingly getting viable for users, either as single individuals or collaborating with others.
We don't have any idea what the limits are to what crowds can do. It's inconceivable that a crowd could produce a high-quality encyclopedia. It's inconceivable because our brains don't work that way. And one of the lessons to learn is that we should not be making these assumptions. We're going to be wrong over and over and over again. And this is one of the great glories of the time, is that we're wrong because we were able to do things we didn't know that we could do as a crowd.
When Jackson did the first project and was finished with that, I think that gave him just enough of the bug to keep going and keep going, which is great because, it provides our family more income, but at the same time, it's the same cycle of work with him going to work during the day and then coming home again and working late into the night, and me not getting any help with the girls. So a project ends after 40 days or whatever the time is that you allow for it to be happening. But then another project will start, and we just continue this over and over again. And I don't know how long I can do that here by myself. I didn't sign up to be a single mom, but that's what I'm doing right now.
Now that I'm a few weeks into the project and kind of like the excitement and the energy of the beginning of doing something new is worn off, a lot of times I find myself having to pause and reevaluate myself and check myself and kind of get back to the original reason why I wanted to do this in the first place. The love that I have for engraving and currency and that type of art. Because, you know, after the 30th card and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm sitting there and my eyes are about to pop out of my head because I'm just sitting there looking at the screen, and I'll just sit there with my pen in my hand and I'll just sit there and zone. And when there's nothing else that I want to do less than draw cards, I just have to think to myself, there is a reason why I'm doing this. There's a reason why I am juggling a full-time job and doing this at home. And the reason is because this is going to allow me to create a life for myself and my family that is going to completely change our lives from now on for the rest of our lives. Maybe in a month from now, I won't have to have 2 jobs. And it's that the love and passion for what I'm doing, the art, coupled with the idea that all of this hard work, all of these sleepless, nights and me staying up late and being away from my family, those factors coming together could equal me changing my life and me creating something new for my family. And it's those kind of thoughts that when I sit there and zone out, that I have to bring back into the forefront of my mind. And those are the things that keep me going, and those are the things that keep me up late at night.
All right. Shark Tank found out about us through our crowdfunding campaign that we did. Shark Tank is basically like a live investment show. So there's these 5 self-made million billionaires on, and you pitch them your idea and you say you can be a part of my company for this much money and I'll give you this much % of it. So you're like going on risking giving up part of your company, but also with the possibility of getting a bunch of money too. I am excited about it. The possibilities are pretty big. Roughly like 7 million people watch it, but still nervous about getting nervous on national television and not being able to say words if I get out there and they're like, tell us about your company, and I'm like, blah, 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 like can't think at all because the cameras are pointing at me and everything I know has suddenly disappeared into a place in my head where I can't find it. So that's pretty nervousing because if somebody gets that vibe, they zone in on it and then they're sweating and they just try to draw it out of them even more. So the name of the show is pretty fitting, Shark Tank. But hopefully I just get out there and feel my vibe and feel their vibe and just have a good time with it, But there's 7 people that are in the company now. And at the same time, the community that we've built, it feels like those eyes are on it, and also, the hope of us succeeding. So I know if we don't succeed, I feel like it would probably lose a lot of hope for a lot of people.
When he's really busy and I'm with the babies all by myself, I think surely this isn't going to be forever. But then with kids, you turn around and they're already grown, and so in this time that he's working, it seems like it's a little time, but in a kid's life, it's a really, like, they don't have very much childhood, and so when you say, I'll just be working on this for about a year, we're gonna struggle through this. And for a little baby, a year is just like, that's a lot of little time to miss.
What I'm seeing more and more every day as I go through this is that why can't I make my job and my art the same thing? The logical thing to do would be, well, if you don't have all this time and you can't do this stuff, well, then just don't do a second project. But to me, that would be the worst thing that I could ever do. Is my job that important to me? No, I can find another job if I have to. But is this project that important to me? Absolutely, it's that important to me. My daughter Claire, she knows what I do. She's learning from that. I can't teach her to give those things up, and I wouldn't want her to give those things up in the future.
People who take responsibility often get it. That is shifting our posture to the point where human beings, or whatever they do, can say, I made this. Here, I made this. What do you think? And when we own that question, we are doing a different kind of work than when we say, I was just doing my job.
Prior to the Kickstarter, we used to do development work for other people. We weren't sort of in control of our own destiny. And I had to lay off a lot of people. That's the worst thing I think an employer could ever do in their life, is to have to lay off perfectly good people. My job is I got to keep everybody employed and working. Here we are and things are going great. We feel extremely fortunate, but already I have to start thinking about what's next. My issue here now is, how do I go to people and say, hey, we want to do another Kickstarter, but we haven't even finished this one yet. And there's a good business reason, but how do I get them to buy off on why we need to do that?
Hey, old school, come here. My sources tell me you're starting another project.
That's right. I'm pretty excited about the team and the concept we put together.
But aren't you still in the middle of Wasteland?
We are, but the writers and concept artists have finished their work on Wasteland, and we'd like to get them going on another project.
Don't you just fire them when they're done?
Well, we like to keep the teams together. We like to start pre-production early. It takes months to nail down the design and fine-tuning of a game.
Months? For writing?
Sure. That way when Wasteland 2 finishes, the scripters can start working on material that's well-polished. It's the way we did it back in the Interplay days.
Enter who?
Listen, I doubt you've even heard of the game anyway.
Try me.
There's really no point.
I'm serious. Give me a chance.
I just don't think.
Brian, I've done my homework. I've studied Tristan.
Okay, fine. It's called Torment.
Never heard of it.
There was a game that we did back in the Interplay days that has kind of a big cult following behind it. It's called Planescape Torment. It was a very different kind of role-playing game. It was very literary in nature, and you use your words as weapons.
We're kind of pot committed at this point to going with the crowdfunding, because it's really the only way. It's the only way Wasteland could have ever been made. I mean, we did pitch it to every publisher on the planet for 20 years with no chance of getting it made, and we pitched it to the crowd once, and they went for it. We've sort of become the poster child for the indie development anti-publisher movement, and that was, I mean, it's just an accident. That's not like that was some secret plan or anything, but if they can believe that we can make something else starting right now without negatively impacting Wasteland, then I think we can get their support. But without the crowd, there's really not much of a future for us and what we're trying to do.
This is my lucky shirt. I know it looks ridiculous, but I don't really care. This is a pretty special shirt to me. I mean, I've worn this at the birth of one of my daughters. I wore this for the first day of the first project, Federal 52 Part 1, and I'm wearing it today because today is the win or lose day for me. This is the day we start the Federal 52 Part 2. I can barely think straight because I stayed up all night last night working, getting everything ready. I got my pledge tier set up, my pictures. I've got hopefully all the typos corrected because the last project I had so many typos because I'm an idiot. And all I have to do now, it's 11:52. Ugh. And all I have to do is push go. We try to wait till 12 because in my last project, I kind of teased that I gave all my backers a time that it was gonna start. And I said it was gonna start, at 12 noon on Saturday. So be there, be ready, because I have some like limited edition stuff. And hopefully I have all these backers around the world that are sitting there clicking refresh, 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 waiting for it to go. So I just want it to go. I want it to start because I want to see if this next chapter in my life is either gonna work out or it's not gonna work out. I mean, it hasn't even been like 2 minutes, and I already have more backers than I did like in the first 24 hours of the first project. Like 420, 422, and like my phone won't even stop. My phone won't even stop like dinging and people going. I can't even think straight. It's like they just keep coming. They keep coming. Like at this rate, I don't even know. Like we could get funded in like the first hour or so compared to like the first 24 hours. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Oh, hold on a second. It's my brother. Yeah. Yes. No, I know. Are you watching this? No, look at it. Look at it. I know. It just keeps going up. Shut up. All right, see you. I'm excited, but I feel like I want to vomit at the same time. It's only been 18 minutes, and the project is fully funded. I'm the most excited, but I'm also the most afraid that I've ever been before. My dreams are now barreling at me, like at 100 miles an hour, and my life is about to change. I mean, it's not about to change, it's changing now. It just changed in 18 minutes. And it's hard to realize like what all of that work, and then you have all these people that are supporting you and there for you, even though you may not even know who they are. I just hope that everything that I've done and everything that I do during the project is enough to merit that sacrifice.
So Shark Tank's the show. I guess it's reality television, But it's like basically you have some venture capitalists. You go pitch your business idea, but it's all theatrical. It's all made for television. And so you pitch your idea, and they decide to invest in you. And this all happens in 10 minutes. And it's like it's like very theatrical. They tear you apart. It's a Shark Tank. They have teeth. There's blood. Probably everyone's thinking the same thing I am. We don't want to lose control. It's like what do you give up? What do you sacrifice for success? And what is success? I feel like I don't know if we're gonna lose control.
Well, first off, you guys are looking beautiful.
Thank you.
My name is Zach. I invented this thing called a freaker, and I'm here today looking for a $200,000 investment in exchange for a 10% equity in my company, Freaker USA.
Okay. How'd they treat you? They treat you good? Are they mean? Okay. You didn't cry, did you? That's something. Yeah, he sounded good. He sounded like, he sounded like he had a good time. He went out there to be entertaining. And he feels good about it. He feels like he gave them a show, which is good, which is what we were looking for. We wanted to be memorable. I think he feels good, though. I think we all kind of feel the same way, and we're glad we don't have to deal with that, that responsibility. We don't have the company doesn't have a parent. We're all still orphans. I don't want to do that again. I don't want to go through, I just don't want to lose control of that to people that we fought against so hard not to work for. Yeah, Lauren's a nervous wreck. Yeah, she's a complete nervous wreck. You should probably call her. Yeah, we were staying up all night, but yeah. Hey, so I got a link. I'm going to the website. You're right there.
Are you ready? In the end, it was clear that Zach Crane could care less if he got a deal on Shark Tank or not. He ended up getting something far more valuable, at least to him, and he still has the freedom and control to do it the best way that he knows how to do. No doubt that he will continue to promote the Freaker USA brand in the only way that he can.
It's been a long haul to get back to this place of making games the way I want to do it, and having everybody support what we've done and to get behind us in such a major way is just it's thrilling. And then I just can't say I'm fortunate enough times. For me, this journey has come full circle. I think back to when I was young, and now here I am, back to where I started, back doing what I want to do. I can't imagine anything more satisfying than this, considering the kind of the route that I've had to take to get here. I hope that people look at what I've done and see that they can do it.
All of my work, all of the work that I've done up until this point has led to this, and it's unreal for me to think about. People all across the world, they may have just been sitting in their living room or whatever, and turned the computer on, and then that's a nice deck of cards, and then clicked. And I may not know those people, and I may never know those people, and I may never meet those people. But every individual person that did that played an enormous role in changing my life. And like a little thing that people don't even know, and they will know when they get the decks. Like on the inside of the decks, on the inside of the decks is, it says for Claire and for Scarlett. And those are my daughters. Those people absolutely changed the course of my life and the course of my daughters' lives and my family.
That's awesome. What is that?
me laying my ideas and my heart out on the table, that people can come to that. And you know, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
You guys look beautiful. I want to hold you. If I could hug you all right now, I would. But there's a screen, you're in the future, but I love you anyway. And if you ever see me, I'd love a hug.
Tells you you're gonna stay there, cause you know in a couple more years they're gonna say fair. Then you know in another year you worry about the images, but I don't look around and it's wonderful. When you run it out, now you think, why didn't I buy? Cause everything's exactly like we fantasize. Everything you do is like the outfit that you look for. You're never gonna find it. We're exclusive. Everybody says, don't you want to take some time away? Well, everybody can say it's scares me. It seems too easily. Yeah, we're exclusive. Everybody says, don't you want to take some time away? Well, everybody can say it's scares me. It seems too easily. You're gonna stay there, cause you know in a couple more years I'm gonna say fair. Then you know, even this year people went by. I feel good cause I just see him go walk away. But I've been sitting here and I've been